Christian here with Lvnding. We have another episode of the Launchpad, and I'm super excited to introduce Aidan Sokol, house DJ and producer. His newest song, Now or Never, is out on Space Yacht right now. How's it going, Aidan? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, dude?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, doing well. Chilling. Nice guitar.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd have something in the background, so
Yeah, right. No, it's good.
just
I'm
for
trying.
show.
Yeah, I'm trying to get one soon, an electric guitar. I've been going to Guitar Center and just like jamming on them. I used to have one way back in the day, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing, at least for me, because I also make music, and when I get stuck in the DAW, just to get out of it, get on a real instrument, and you know,
Yeah, yeah,
get back
totally.
to real music, quote unquote.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
changes it up
exactly.
a bit.
Right. I have an acoustic right now, but it's a bit different. Cool. Nice. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so if you just want to start like a little bit of your background, where you're from, how you got into music, how you got to where you are today. I'd love to hear just like your journey so far.
Cool. Um, the music goes back pretty far. I started going to like rock shows at like age like 8, 10, because my friend's older brother was in like the local rock scene. Yeah, so I started going to like rock shows at a pretty young age, just like pop, punk, alternative rock, that kind of stuff. Um, I didn't get into electronic music until probably like age 14. Um, yeah, there was this song called Sierra Leone by Mount Eden, which was like a dubstep song. It was like one of the first dubstep songs I had heard. It might be like one of the first around at that point. Um, and that like changed everything for me. I was like, this is the future. This is what's going on. Like these robot noises. Like I don't understand anything that's happening in this song, but like my brain was just firing off. Um, so pretty much after that, I just started going to like loads of raves, like all sorts of raves and festivals from 14 till now. But yeah, just kind of the natural progression of like genres going from whatever was happening at the time, be like dubstep, then there's like the big trap, festival trap phase and all that stuff, and then into house music, which came later on. It's like I feel like a lot of times house is like a refined palette for like the EDM community almost, where it's like you go through your phases and then you like end up with house where it's like, all right, it's a nice pace. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much like the rundown on me getting into the music. And then do you want to talk about when I like started making music or
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah, yeah, so let's see. I've been making music for 3 years, so not a super long time, but long enough to where right now I'm feeling like pretty comfortable, in like my workflow and my DAW and everything. Um, but yeah, it kind of dawned on me at a certain festival back in like I think it was like 2015 or so, that I wanted music in my life permanently forever, at this festival, at this stage. Like it all hit me where I was like, this is my purpose. Like music is my purpose. It's what I love to do, or it's what I love to experience at that time. And then I kind of made this mental shift where I was like, I could continue going to like raves and festivals forever, but like, I want to flip the script and like be on the other end, be giving back and like be a part of it where it becomes a job. Um, so I just changed my mindset on it where I was like, I want to make music and I want to give back at a certain point, because I don't want to be like an old guy just standing in the crowd doing nothing, like not that there's anything wrong with that, but I wanted to people the experiences that I have experienced throughout it, and like try to recreate those and like spread it along. So yeah, I downloaded Ableton. maybe legally, maybe illegally. I don't know, but I have it legally now, of course. But it's the don't ask, don't tell. Like way back in the day, it just kind of sat on my laptop forever. Like opening Ableton is like when you're first looking at it, you're like, oh my god, what is this? Yeah, like do you use Ableton or anything like that?
Yeah, I do, and it's funny you mentioned that because I had the exact same experience of just downloading it, and I thought I was gonna make a banger like in a week,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
took me like 3 weeks to even figure out how to turn on the piano, and it's just
yeah, yeah,
absolute
yeah, yeah, yeah.
chaos.
Every step of the way, it's like, how do I insert one MIDI clip? It might have taken me 2 days, like so it is a daunting task, but so downloaded Ableton, it sat there. I would do whatever I could here and there, and then it really hit me around like 3 years ago that like I was getting a lot better at it, and that I wanted to like fully commit to production and DJing, um, which pretty much entailed working a lot of side jobs and gigs to like get the money to be able to get the gear you need. Because that's the one thing about producing and DJing is like people often say it's fairly gate kept because of the financial costs it take to really like get the equipment to do the stuff, and it is all fairly expensive. There's workarounds and everything and stuff you could do, but I kind of realized that early on, and I just worked as hard as I could, like summer jobs, like all sorts of like random gigs, just to get the money to get the. I got some CDJs like right off the bat, like way sooner than I needed them, But I was like, oh, I need these, like for sure. Which it was great, but just put every ounce of like work and effort into like doing the steps I needed to like get going.
Yeah, that's very an interesting observation you have about the uh, like you said, gate kept nature
Yeah,
of the music industry, and especially the electronic industry with, not only the CDJs, which are upwards of like 10 grand, but the
yeah,
computer and all the software, and then you have like the marketing budget and all that crazy shit. So um,
totally,
that is something that I think a lot of people kind of overlook in the music industry.
absolutely, yeah,
And yeah, I'm actually pretty glad that you brought that up. That's
yeah,
very a good observation.
yeah. Of course. Yeah, and I mean, if you're not aware of your situation or like your socioeconomic class or wherever you're at, like you got to be more aware of that. Where like people walk around with egos and like all this stuff, and like at the end of the day, not everyone has the same opportunities, and you have to be grateful that you do, or like try to give back in ways that can help fix that kind of divide, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with music, that is such a thing that transcends anything. I mean,
Right,
it's
right.
music is for the masses, it's for everyone, and
Universal
it's
language, yeah.
very, yeah, it's kind of ironic that the people that create it have to be people of a specific group to
Right.
really get it to the masses. And I don't know, I've always found that kind of not funny
Yeah.
in a comedic way, but just
Right, right.
a little
Yeah.
a little odd.
Yeah, well, it's good that you're aware of it too. I think nowadays there's, you know, as with all technology, the more things advance, like the cheaper things get, and the more um opportunity there are for people to like use that, whether it be like Ableton computers or CDJs. Because even today, like there are far more phenomenal producers than there ever were, because like the access is getting better, and like the instructions, YouTube, whatever it is, like people are getting really good, like all over the place. But also like VR, there's like DJing in VR now, which I mean VR is it's expensive, but you can get a headset for like $300, and I've seen like virtual DJ like lessons where people are actually learning like well, like to scale of normal like club equipment, like how to perform in VR, which is wild. So there's all sorts of stuff happening right now. It's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, and you also have that same sort of dissemination of power in the record label industry as well.
Yeah.
which is, because I've got your information from Henry from Space Yacht, and they're
Yeah.
kind of doing the same thing of putting artists first. Hell yeah, Space Yacht plug. um,
Yeah.
they
Keeps me hydrated.
it's important. It's very important. uh because if all the old labels, it was always about the label, and it was always a facade. And now, with what a lot of labels are doing, but especially Space Yacht, of putting their artists first and releasing tunes of smaller artists, and not gatekeeping hardly at all. It's all
Right.
about the music.
Right.
um
Yeah.
that's another big step in that direction, which I'm glad that they're doing, because it gets artists like you to an
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been more than I could have dreamed of, like, help to work with as far as the label goes. Like, I've worked with smaller labels before, nothing too big, but the amount of work Space Yacht has put in and continues to put in is like it's mind blowing. You know, the organization, the like release marketing plans, and like everything is all there, and they make it really easy for new artists to just kind of follow a guideline and like do what you need to do, because it can be super overwhelming when like you're dealing with a release week and like you're getting hit up like post this, do that, or like whatever, and it's like it can be really stressful. But they're fully aware that a lot of the artists they're putting on are like new to the game and new to the industry, and they like are so helpful in walking you through like every step of the way, which is like a lot of people don't do. They take that time, like you were saying, to really like put on new artists.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess how you drive the music industry forward, and get new artists and these talented people that you had mentioned earlier. You get them in
Yeah.
front of an audience to really share their music. And
Right.
I guess that's probably a good segue to, like, what is your music? Who are you as a brand? What's your message?
Right. That's something that's like the music itself is something I've come to realize is like always ever changing, subtly, not drastically, not like flipping genres, but as I grow as an artist, what I like and dislike changes. And my style changes and like my music changes, not drastically, but it definitely does. And that's something I'm realizing now, because when you first start out, it's like you have your inspirations and you're just like going for it, like, and for me that was like tech house, like just like, kind of dirty bird style, like funky, kind of like wonky, like silly, like tech house. Like that was it for me. I was like, this is the jam. Like I love it. And I still absolutely love it. But I've grown from that to like appreciate more like kind of driving like music right now. So I'd say that's the kind of music I'm at. Like I'm making more like this new release called Now or Never that just came out was labeled like as when I finished it, I was like, what genre does this fall under? Because it's like got a driving bass line and it's like a vocal and it's like techie but melodic. So Beatport labeled it melodic house and techno, which I think fits perfectly. But that's kind of where I'm at now. I like the like fun party music, but I was feeling like there needed to be like more emotion in some of the songs. Like a lot of them were just like a catch line, like a funny party catch line, and then like a bass line, and like that it works great and it's good club music and it's fun. But I felt there was like a missing kind of emotional connection to any of that music. Um, so with this new song that I put out, I really tried to like harness in on that and like make it something that has like kind of feeling and emotion. And I did that by working with a vocalist for the first time, and she was phenomenal. She's really high up vocalist that like I was super stoked to get on the track. But yeah, kind of bringing that energy where it's like it's still totally club music and like festival music, but it's a little more like peak time driving um, vibe. But as far yeah, that's like the music. But as far as like branding and like what I want to like represent, I want to kind of same with the music. I want the music to speak for itself, but I want people to have like meaningful experiences, at the sets. Like whatever time of day the set is at, to play appropriately and to have people walk away from it being like, that was phenomenal. Like I'm gonna remember that, and like that felt good, and like whatever I was going through or not going through or with my friends or like whatever, but like to harness like a real experience in the music that I want to make and play. Because I grew up like dancing at like raves and stuff. Like me and my crew were like big dancers, like love to dance. And that's something that's my main focus. And my thought is like I want to recreate the experience that I had with my friends, which was like getting down on the dance floor and like it's like you don't even need to talk to your friends, but you're just getting it, and like that's that like transcends like reality at a certain point. So that's the vibe.
Yeah, no, that's at least for me, I kind of agree with that. Is that's the biggest part of music is the transcendence of, you don't need to communicate, but everybody there is kind of they're all on the same wavelength, and you guys are all there together, and that
Right.
community is like very, very important.
Yeah, totally. And there's different ways you can do that and different genres to do it, but it's all a slightly different frequency, but it's still everyone's on the same page. So yeah, it's the idea.
So, who were those artists for you when you were coming up, or even now that you go to their sets and you walk away feeling, that sort of inspired?
Yeah. Honestly, like when people ask me my inspirations, it's a tough question for me because the truth is I find every artist inspirational, like whether it be like any genre, like whatever it is, like I really do find the inspiration in like all of it because there are things to pull from every genre, every artist. That being said, starting out, my biggest inspirations were some like progressive house artists like Steven Bodston and like kind of like Mark Romboy and stuff like that. And then I went into like tech house and like Justin Martin and Christian Martin and all that vibe was where it was at for me for a while. Just kind of watching them and realizing like how genuine they were and that you can tell that. And that was my because going from the big dubstep and the trap stuff, it's all like super EDM and like it's like you can it's just that there's so much ego around it. Normally I like these festivals, especially back in the day, it was just like hectic. Still is, but so when I found like the Dirty Bird crew and those guys, I was like, holy cow, like these guys are just genuine. And you can tell just by watching them on stage, it's just they're not on the mic, they're just playing their music and like giving that vibe out, and like they don't expect anything in return. They're not like, they don't have a hype man, whatever it is. But yeah, moving on from there, like and more currently, it's like hard to even think. So I haven't been to a festival in like a year, and I'm like, who have I seen recently? But I'm like, no one. But yeah, I got really inspired, like re-inspired by like the kind of like more driving tech house phase that happened maybe a few years ago. That was like Eli Brown and like Noizu, and Chris Lake's always a staple. Like he's always kind of pushing the forefront of like what is popular in the scene at whatever time. But yeah, I'd say like whoever it is, honestly, I find inspiration from because everyone does things different, and there's pros to like whatever people do.
Yeah, and with everything that's going on right now with the lockdowns and the no shows and everything, that's something that I know I myself and then a lot of my artist friends have struggled with is the inspiration during this time. Uh, and like you just mentioned, you haven't seen anyone in God knows how long, at least a year.
Yeah,
So,
right.
how do you get through that? How are you finding your inspiration and getting your drive to keep making music right now?
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of emotions. just to be completely honest, it's no one day is the same, and I feel like that's like a case with a lot of artists, and especially during lockdown. Where it comes in waves, the inspiration comes in waves. It comes and goes. And I think the most important part for me is to like know that it comes back, and to not dwell on the fact that it's gone, because people like people be like, oh man, I got writer's block. I haven't written anything in weeks, or like, oh, I just keep writing these like whack tracks or whatever it is. And the more you like think about it, and the more you kind of like self pity and like dive into that, like the harder you'll make it for yourself. And it's easier said than done, because like I've definitely done it loads of times. But what I'm trying to like remember is that like it's all like it's all a flow, and things do go up and things do go down. And when they go down, you just have to like stay steady and hold on and remember that they'll go back up and the inspiration will normally come back. But I've been fairly inspired. I've been looking at it as a time to learn the most, Um, I haven't really been sitting down like over the last like year now, being like, I'm gonna write like the best track of all time right now. I sit down like I have time right now and I'm gonna learn as much as I can. And like the amount I've learned in music production in the last year is like insane. I looked at it as a time where everything stopped, and it's my chance to like move and grow and like get to a level and then like reemerge when things open. I've just been trying to look at it as an opportunity to where like everyone is like at the same like level, or not at the same level, or they're at the same situation where things are like things aren't happening. But if you keep pushing on, when you come out of it, like it's like pausing it for a year and then coming out a better person and a better producer.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's a interesting point that you made of, it's not always about writing the best track, or the greatest track
Right.
of all time, like you said. And I think that's what separates certain artists from other artists, is you're not out there trying to create, a legendary track.
Right.
And that's, those sort of things just kind of happen on their own when you become inspired. And I think that's a really good thing, that you're just, you're learning, and you're very
Yeah.
humbled to the point of, it's about the music, it's not about you. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you sit down trying to write the best track every time, you'll be disappointed a lot, because and that naturally happens too when you start making music. And that's something you kind of have to learn and grow into, is like when you first make music, like you make a song, you put some kicks in, some claps and some hi-hats, and you're like, this is the coolest song ever made. Like, I need a manager right now. Like, where are my festival gig? It's like that's how it works, I think, naturally, for everyone and for a lot of people, because you're excited and like it's cool. But you kind of have to like rein that in at a certain point, and like realize that not everything you make is going to be the one or going to be good. And the more you make, the more likely that one of them will be, and that'll just happen like naturally, I think, like you said.
And so, like, with everything kind of starting to open up right now, hopefully, fingers crossed that it continues to do so.
Yeah,
um,
right.
you played Nocturnal Wonderland, you played Electric Forest, and then we hit this lockdown. And
Right.
so, what's on the back end of this for you? What are you excited about? What are your goals coming out of lockdown, moving forward?
To play clubs in LA, honestly. Because so I moved to LA a year ago, like almost today. I moved to LA in 2020, like February 28th. So I had about 2 or 3 weeks in LA before it closed down. So I moved here like I had a few like gigs lined up too, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna like get it, like learn the LA music scene and like check it out, and like network and like spread my wings here, and like that was the plan, and that's still the plan. So that's mostly what I'm excited for, is to like learn my new home and like learn the clubs and the people and like really get down here, which whenever that may happen, but maybe soon. I saw San Francisco recently has moved to orange tier, allowing for 50% indoor capacity at clubs, which is like mind blowing. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
huge.
but beyond clubs, yeah, I'd love to play at festivals. It's I'm trying not to think about them too much because like I don't know, it's such a heartache at the beginning of like, we're happening, we're not happening anymore. Like we're still happening, we're not gonna happen. It was like this like huge thing where like right now I'm still just like I'm just trying to like focus on the music and everything else. And when they actually start happening, then I'll like poke my head out a bit more, which is very soon, like some are. So yeah, but I would love to play. I was scheduled for Electric Forest in 2020. That didn't happen. So hopefully I think that'll carry over to whenever they may be happening again and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And LA has such a rich music and art scene, just all over the
Right.
city, not just electronic, but
Right.
all kinds of music and art. And I think you'll definitely really enjoy it once you can, finally experience the Los Angeles nightlife. Which
Yeah, totally.
what a time for you to fucking move down here.
Yeah, seriously. It's like so I'm in the arts district in LA. And yeah, the first like 2 weeks I was like, oh, this place is popping. There's like people everywhere. There's like food. This is great. And then it was just like a snap. It was just tumbleweeds, just like it was a ghost town. I was like, oh no. And that's how it's been. It's starting to pick up a little bit more. I'm seeing real people, but yeah, it's been an interesting year to like to not be able to learn a lot about the city. I mean, geography wise, I've learned a lot because the roads were closed and I would just drive around, which was great because there was no traffic. So that was a plus. But yeah, as far as like events or like like actual like things going on, that's been pretty rare.
Yeah, I think you might be one of the first ever space yacht artists that haven't been to a space yacht show.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, oh, that was my other goal. I was like, I'm going to LA. I got to connect with these guys. Like these guys are great. So I'd known about them for a while. It's like they do everything. They throw the coolest parties. And then when I played Nocturnal, um, what is it? The Sunken Garden stage was like it's this big stage with like a lighthouse. And it was one of the coolest stages I've played. I played on a Friday, and then London Bridge of Space Yacht played, I think, on the Saturday, or it might have even been later that day. But same stage, and I remember just being in the back of like of the stage watching them, and Henry from Space Yacht had this like giant Space Yacht flag he was waving, and like London Bridge was like throwing out like necklaces, and it was like on the mic, and I was like, these guys know how to get it popping, like 100%. Like these guys are rad. Um, and I didn't. They were in their groove, and I didn't really even get a chance to like talk to them too much. But ever since then, I was like, yeah, I got to get down to LA and like, like, like meet these guys and like get in on it because like these parties look amazing, and the Bay has cool parties too, but it really pops off for like house music here in LA, I feel.
Yeah, no, they're definitely some of the coolest dudes in the industry right now. Um,
Yeah, right.
and throwing some fantastic events and staying so friendly and so humble about it. Like Space Yacht brand as a whole, like everything about it is just fantastic.
Yeah, totally. They went on their Twitch the other night and they were doing kind of like a segment where they were going through old photos from Space Yacht events from like forever ago. They're just kind of scrolling through photos and just like talking live on Twitch. And I think it was the first time they had done that. They're just like, on a whim decided to do it. But yeah, looking at like the history of it and like all of these artists that like, like played like the first ever space yacht shows, and like every single artist like that I was seeing in these pictures, like those guys are huge now, so their history runs pretty deep for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, at least, yeah, I can't really speak for the other genre industries, but
Right.
for electronic music, that the culture of local scenes, and kind of like the roots of the culture as a whole is people like Space Yacht, and the smaller companies that are throwing the best parties that everybody loves, and they have the community around it, and that's kind of what drives the people to the top, is that support system around them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I got started in events in the Bay Area. There's a crew called Sub Society up in San Francisco, in like the Oakland area, and they were throwing like the underground house parties and like really really cool ones, and they were booking like awesome artists at like, what are the clubs over there, like Halcyon and Monarch over in San Francisco. And I was friends with one of them when I first moved to the Bay a while ago, or back to the Bay because I'm from the Bay, but I moved back to the Bay, and they were the first ones to kind of put me on. Where like I was like, hey, like, do you guys need help? Like I'll help out. Like I'm just trying to like get into this like, whole kind of world. And they put me on where they let me open, like hardly knew how to mix, and like they just be like, yeah, like you can open, just like post these flyers on like your store. You know what I mean? Just like help promo and like do the kind of like the work, and like, and then and in turn they helped me out like huge. So yeah, you're totally right. Where like everything I have is from like local underground parties of like community and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is a few people to believe in you and give you a shot, and you never really know
Yeah.
where it's going to take you.
Yeah, totally. Shout out Dan and Jay Lee. Those guys running stuff in the Bay. Really, really cool house music guys. So yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Shit, I get that's all I really got here. You you want to give a little like hot one shout out? What do you got coming? What's on the back end for you? Anything?
Shoot, no movies. I got no movies coming out. I got no album coming out. No, I just got, just working on music still. I'll have some new songs out here maybe in like a few months, but just working on stuff. I was really dedicating a lot to this Now or Never release, which went number two on Melodic House and Techno Beatport releases, which was really cool. That was like super exciting. I've never even like charted, I don't know if at all, nonetheless to get number two. So that was really cool. But yeah, just taking time to rework and retune and get back to the music. We'll see about some shows too. The world's opening up, Maybe
Hell
I'd
yeah.
like to DJ again, so we'll see about that. Hopefully I get some soon.
Yeah, I mean that's we can hope. I did see LA. I think April 1st is opening bars up for outdoor
Oh
consumption.
wow. Wow.
You can go out and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, I
outside.
saw they're gonna open Disneyland too at some point in like, I think maybe the end of April. They're opening up Disneyland. So it's happening, but just holding on, staying steady. There's so much energy around it where if you read too many articles or whatever it is, like you'll get spun out. So I'm just trying to like take it slow.
For sure, yeah. You're not trying to get your own hopes up and then let yourself down.
Yeah, exactly. I've done enough of that now where I'm like, all right, I know how this works. Let's just play it cool. But yeah, thank you very much. That was a cool interview.
Yeah, thanks for
Shout out
coming on.
Moon. Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for talking again.
Yeah,
Hopefully I'll see you around.
hell yeah, man. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Later.